Welcome to the Swolenormous PROCAST with your host, Papa Swolio.
Dude, today is the official. I changed my shirt because I was doing some red, white, and swole. I'm like, why not wear my logo? Look at this, a Papa Swolio channel logo now.
Nice.
So today was the Starbucks. Let's start off with this. Starbucks released the pumpkin spice latte earlier than ever before. Why? They need some money. They're hurting, bro. They're hurting. Can you imagine? Think about, because it says, because of declining sales, no one's going to work. No one's driving. People are afraid to be around people.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. I guess the drive-through is probably still bumping. People have to get their fix. But I never liked Starbucks coffee. But they're trying to make that pull, man. They got to grab quick. They got to grab fast.
I would almost assume that they could pull the whole direct to consumer play on a bigger level, like some of these smaller coffee companies, like Counterculture and all that, because they launched a reserve location here in Chicago, like those 3-4 story Starbucks reserve locations. Whenever I went once, it's pretty nice. They got like one's a cafe, one's whatever. But if they use those facilities and or manufacturing facilities to do some more like online stuff, they may have to hop into that game, bro. I mean, nobody's immune to this culture right now. You know?
No one's immune. But also, when it comes to those individual, that was a good poll, because I was saying what was I saying on the podcast when I was ranting about it, that all these smaller brands, whether it's, and when I say smaller brands, I mean those brands that are selling on Amazon, just all those individual coffee companies that are either doing white label coffee or they're doing their own thing. This is destroying big brands, big brand names. This is exposing all the big Louis Vuitton, all the big fancy stuff. It's like when you can't access it, when you don't have money, when you realize it's just a freaking, and again, I think it's because of the easy access, the easy on-ramp to creating your own brand. Once you start tasting, I'm an influencer. This is how you contact people behind the scenes. Oh, you mean it's just a couple people like me that paint a building a certain way? You start realizing, oh shit, it's a facade. Oh shit, it's just a VL and the same material that are made by these poor kids in Pakistan. Oh shit, I'm paying. Oh shit. And you realize when you create your own brand, even if it's small, you realize, this bigger brand, it's just kind of smoke and mirrors if you're not standing for something really substantial. If you're just creating a product like a purse, that's what always kind of frightened me. There's a purse or a car. A purse carries things. You have a car that has wheels. That's commoditized. I mean, if you can't afford a Ferrari, you're still going to buy a fucking car. Right. You're just not going, but you're going to save a lot of money. When people start getting humbled, they start making better decisions and the big brands get hurt. But, there's always going to be those people that want to flaunt that they have something that no one else has, regardless of the money, whether it's exclusive, whether it's a line outside a club, and it's only, or invite only type things. That exclusivity is going to supersede that kind of financial gate.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see manufacturers become better at forward-facing marketing to users, because if we're getting away from a place where larger brands are being exposed in regards to, you're just a bunch of me, just with good operations and systems and whatever, so you can get this stuff out to the masses and mass produce or whatever, then the only thing after that's exposed and everybody has the option of, I can buy direct. I mean, everything. I mean, glasses are direct, like music equipment is direct now. Like I'm sure you're seeing it in the fitness world. I'm seeing it in other, industries or whatever. It's like at that point, what becomes the commodity? It's almost the unique ability to design either around your brand or something you like. So rather than a bunch of LVs, teach us how to do the design style of LV and we'll like alter it, do different styles, like whatnot. And it almost becomes like all of those little gimmicky stuff, when you go to like, I don't know, like Cedar Point or some crap and they like cartoonist does this to you, or like you get a custom shirt this, or like whatever. It's like if everybody's starting to realize, those are just scaled operations. So coming back down, I feel like the design community, just all around the manufacturing industry, if they could actually, market a certain way, I feel like they could have direct relationship with just large grows of, creators and brands and organizations. And it kind of cuts out that overarching, because there's almost like micro monopoly in brands like Starbucks. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they own the whole coffee industry, but in a way it's like, they kind of figured out a way to pull a fast one on people for decades now.
It's crazy how they did that. Oh, I was talking about it. The way I think about it is I never really liked their coffee, but they had this monopoly on comfort. You would go to Starbucks, you would go in because you go in, you have power, there's outlets everywhere, you have a table, you have nice cushions, they made it a place you wanted to go hang out. And some Starbucks, I remember, I don't know if all of them are like this, but one on South Beach at least they had a whole music section where you go and you had headphones, you can go listen to it was like their tracks or whatever they are promoting, their Starbucks artists or things like that. But it's kind of like how YouTube promotes certain artists in their free audio library that you can use copyright free. So you went into the section. It was kind of like a combination between a Borders. Remember Borders?
Yep.
Remember it had music and it had books.
They're out of business, right?
Yeah. I don't know how they went out of business, but I mean, obviously a business can go out of business no matter what you are, but how Barnes and Noble survived, at least to this point. I'm sure some Barnes and Noble, they'll be doing music. I mean, it goes hand in hand. You have coffee, you have Starbucks and things inside Barnes and Nobles.
Yep.
So, I mean, and how Amazon, right? Amazon killed the bookstores, but then opened up Amazon Books and started opening up bookstores. It's brilliant. But you have the place where you go and hang out. You can go to Starbucks. And what I would do is I would go to Starbucks and I would buy a coffee or a tea, and I would sit there for 8 or 10 hours and just study. I would go on my tablet. I would study when I was doing organic chemistry. I would just study and do all my stuff there. And you could even go in there and not buy anything. They usually don't care. I think if it was probably packed to the brim and you didn't purchase anything, they might come over. But I don't know if that's against their rules or whatnot, but they make it a place you want to go. You don't go to Dunkin' Donuts to hang out and do work.
Right.
It's like, what do you want to do? Sit on one of those plastic chairs or one of those little, Dunkin' Donuts is more like, hey, get your coffee, get the fuck out.
Right.
Which is fine.
Dunkin' Donuts is from my neck of the woods. Yeah, I'm from Buffalo, New York. So we have Timmy Hortons and we have
D&D.
Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, D&D.
I mean, I grew up north too, so that was a big thing, but I never liked any of their coffee. But anyway, Starbucks had that ability to bring people in for other reasons. You go in, you could buy a banana, you could buy an apple, they started doing the food thing, or you buy water, but it made it a place where you wanted to go and you would hang out and talk. It was a social thing. You don't go to Dunkin' Donuts and hang, you go to Starbucks and chill. They make it that way. So you go there, and what happens when you're there? You get thirsty and you want a coffee. You just kind of habitually drink and talk.
Yep.
So they had that, but now you're not hanging out. Now you're not hanging out unless they get plastic dividers between every table where they can't spit on each other.
Now it's like you're at the library or some shit.
Dude, I mean, you can't. So they're releasing so apparently Dunkin' Donuts has a pumpkin spice thing. They launched one to compete, and they did it like 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. So Starbucks is probably like, fuck, we got to roll this shit out quicker.
Their marketing and sales department is just like, Jesus, So you said something real key. I want to ask you. You said they sell comfort, which kind of sparked an idea or thought in my head of what, like, knowing what you're selling or what somebody is actually selling versus what they're marketing. So it's like Starbucks, they're selling coffee, but they're selling comfort, they're selling space, they're selling, networking, they're like you said, because it's very true. They tap into those senses and those sort of subconscious needs that you're all driving like, shoot, I had that 15, minute meeting in like a half hour, I'll just go hang at Starbucks, prep my notes, all kind of stuff. Like they know that, that's an option, very similar to like going to hang out those places or whatever. So kind of what's your take on that in general? Not anything specific, but like knowing what you sell versus what you market and all of that kind of stuff.
In terms of everything that I do, or in terms of specifically?
Like, do you feel like you sell fitness, or do you feel like you sell something deeper than that?
Well, sell, what are you talking about? I mean, like that's, people. So in other words, what are people like? What's the Swole fam paying for? Yeah.
You know how like some marketers used to say like Uber doesn't sell, car services, it sells your time back or something like that.
Let's ask them. They're watching this right now. Swole fam, those of you there, Swolenormous X members, Swole fam members, drop below. What makes you want to be a part of this? What makes you, and I think that's that's really the answer right there, is it's being a part of it. One thing that we're doing, and the Swole fam is not, that's why it's a Swole fam. It's not Papa. It's not me.
Right.
The Swole fam Facebook group, that's anything but me. It's everyone.
Yeah.
So when it grows, we grow together. When someone has a success, I mean, you see all the success stories. When someone has a win,
it's insane.
Everyone wins because you're watching this, you're getting inspired. Just like when we do the PROCAST, we get fucking amped. That's why we do it so frequently, because we have to. It's going to keep both of us alive. It's our heartbeat, right? Having these conversations and talking about this.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, when people sign up, of course you could sign up for just the Swole fam, or you can sign up. So either way, whether you're doing the Swole fam membership, or you're doing a yoga membership, or you're doing an annual membership and you're getting all access, what are you doing? You're joining a family, a community. You're becoming a part of something, which is why we go so deep. I ask questions. Hey, get involved with the content in the accountability meetings and here. And I'm always talking on the Daily Swole podcast. I'm always talking about what's being developed, what's coming next, what we're working on. Yeah, because they're involved, and it's a membership. It's not like, oh, I bought a program. I always hated that shit. It's like a one-off. Even when the 90-day dash was just in the Facebook group, it was still a group that had interaction. It wasn't, a one-off. Like, hey, you bought a CD, enjoy it. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like how it's just. I don't like it when it's a purchase and a purchase and a purchase. It's so disconnecting. There's no community there. Yeah, or not well enough. So this is a part of something where you're investing, and it encourages each member to invest in the community, because then it makes their community and their investment more valuable. Like, it's just going to grow and grow and grow. So, what people pay for, I think that depends on how they look at the content. A lot of people, I mean, fundamentally, it's the Swole fam, it's the community, it's the message, it's the 7 pillars, it's accountability, it's all those things. And, yoga is commoditized, meditation, like there's a lot of meditation out there. There's a lot of yoga out there. There's a lot of fitness out there. There's a lot of, anything else. There's a lot of nutrition information out there. Yep. So it's more about the fundamental message of unlearning everything and all the bullshit and reconstructing your outlook and your filter. So once you have that, that's why the Swole fam goes so deep and goes so hard, because we've unfucked our brains, and now we're looking at everything that comes in, which is why all this content, the Papa Swolio channel, the Swolenormous PROCAST, the Daily Swole podcast, Swolenormous channels, like, the more I say it, it's like, fuck, it's everywhere. It's all coming through the same filter. And it's just, again, it's creating another world within our world that just, we filter out the bullshit. We have different filters coming in, all the different content kind of checks people coming in. Look, you're coming into this bubble. It's like you're coming in through one ring. Can you make it into the next gate? Can you make it into the next gate? And it's not like, can you make it through? Are you worthy? It's like, no, but are you ready to go deeper? And when you're ready to go deeper, deeper is there for you. Right. So in other words, there's something for everyone when it comes to the training aspect. You can join Swolenormous X, do the training, and never post in the group and just ignore that. You could. Those are the people that usually might fall off and quit, or, because they look at it as a program. Right. That's why all the content front facing is about, it's something different. And remember the quote that I read in the last one, the truth does not play well. People don't want to talk about reality. They want to live in that bubble. But I think we're living in a world where there's so much fantasy, there's so much make-believe, there's so much delusion, and people are losing their fantasy. I just did a Red, White, and Swole on the NFL. The NBA and the MLB they're tanking their shit because they're fucking getting too involved with this stuff. Yes, sir. So play the game. So the pivoting, because this plays into what you just asked.
Keep talking. I don't want you guys to be fatigued audio wise. My air conditioning's loud, so keep going. I'm going to close this door.
Oh yeah, whatever. Yep. Mm-hmm. So you can still hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
So the Detroit Lions just canceled practice today.
Oh man.
No, to protest the shooting in Wisconsin. Right. Okay. Now, from what I've heard, the footage looks crazy. This guy was reaching inside his car. He had kids in the car. He got shot. I didn't see the whole thing, but I also don't have all the facts. Like, even if you watch the video, you don't have all the facts. Right. Remember George Floyd? That seems like it was like a year ago, bro.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So, but then remember, then they said they're going to go for they were going for second-degree murder.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Right. So they entered that plea or whatever, what you call. But then when the full body cam footage came out, all of a sudden everyone's like, oh shit, because that full footage where you hear everything, it's like, they're gonna have such a hard time. So chances are He's not going to get second degree. He'll get manslaughter, just because doesn't mean that it's right. Doesn't mean that it changes anything. However, from a legal standpoint, and you know what that's going to do? Fuck. Dude, it's going to be the worst thing. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't change the situation, doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
But if you go for, and you can't say it's premeditated, like he was looking for him. He was looking to find him. You can't go first degree, second degree, and then you start realizing all the other events. Yeah. Okay. I'm not a lawyer. We're not breaking all down the case here. Sure. But it just goes to show that when something happens and you just go protest or you go and riot and I did another Red, White, and Swole yesterday about an entire car lot, a dealership. They lit all the cars on fire. It was like a third world country. Every car was burning. What is that solving? These are just excuses. Yeah. These are excuses for anarchy. People are out of jobs. People are stuck at home. People and they're getting fucked with the media. Dude, come on. It's not, look, I'm not saying that there's no racism. That's ridiculous. There always will be. Yeah. But when you have instances where cops nonstop, how many real conflicts do you have every year? Maybe one, like hopefully none. Right. Cops go and have these conflicts every day. Just roll the dice. You're going to have some that go wrong. Yeah. 400 million people. You're going to have shit that goes fucking wrong. So when you have social media and the internet, and you can just pick whatever little instance you want. Did you hear about that white kid, the little white boy in North Carolina?
I used to live in North Carolina too, and I have people there, and I still didn't hear about it.
I just did a video, so I think it was like a week or so ago. These two families, this one black guy was having dinner with his neighbors across the street. Black family or black guy was over at this white guy's house, and family was having dinner. They were sitting on the porch talking, having a beer. The next day, you ready for this?
Yep.
You can look this up. The black guy, like the kids are playing in the yard. Mm-hmm. Black guy walks across the yard, shoots the white boy, 5 years old, in the head. Shoots him in the head. Broad daylight. Kids are playing outside, walks up, shoots him in the fucking head, kills him.
Jesus.
Black man.
Literally just
walks across. Dude, he was having dinner with the family yesterday. This is not literally yesterday, but the day before. Right. Walked across the street, walked next door, shot the 5-year-old white boy. Where did you hear about that? Where are the protests?
Yeah, Jesus.
Where are the protests? So then you have this guy that gets shot in Wisconsin in response to a violent crime, domestic dispute. I don't know what happened, but if you're having an engagement with the cops and you turn around, you reach in your car, I mean, fuck, bro.
And when the details came out, he had like a history of violent,
shocker.
And all that.
Dude, don't move your fucking hands. Don't reach in your car. I wouldn't even do that.
Yeah.
Oh, my white privilege. Get the fuck out of here. If you fucking don't wait to see what he pulls out.
And the
wait,
dude.
Wait, hold on. Just reach. Yeah, no.
Yeah, anything from his dick to a gun. Like
I'm just grabbing something down here.
Yeah. And not to make light of it, but it's just like, for those that don't know, I'm in an interracial marriage. So my wife is white. We have biracial kids. Obviously, a lot of this stuff affects both sides of, who we are culturally, who we are, our race, our backgrounds, our history, all that kind of stuff. So we're already kind of like bridging some of those gaps. I was literally just talking to Jordan yesterday because I had seen the footage like 2 or 3 days ago. And I was like, both sides of me are pissed off. And I know that sounds weird. My mom was white. My dad was black as well, too. So I also had biracial parents. But anyways, I saw the footage, but I'm like, this is why we will never solve these things if we don't address, like, I think a couple of PROCASTs ago, we talked about, setting healthy thresholds that allow us to go towards solutions, but you guys can go check that out. But for me, it's like, I saw the footage, but both sides of me are angry. I'm angry as a black man that he's just getting shot in general, regardless of reason, that people are still getting shot by our own kind, by other people, like, and it's happening everywhere. That just sucks. I have to talk to my kids about that. I have to talk to my wife about that. We have to either be a part of the solution or ignore the bull crap and, whatever. And then the other side, which is then you go on media and there's both sides. It's like, well, this guy has a history of this, and this guy is like, then I'm mad at the media because I've lived in marketing and media for, 10 years. And I'm just like, how do we live in 2020 and we can 4K and 8K stream whatever event for our entertainment across the entire damn world, but we can't get one thing end to end in the media that tells all of the facts from an original source that was either directly or really closely directly tied to the thing, and then multiply the distribution of that story. Because the fractional media, especially when every part of media or every derivative of media has a different objective, different belief system, different, support, like all of that kind of stuff, different funding, different agendas behind what they're doing, some good, some bad, some indifferent. It's like that is an unsolvable equation. I don't care if you brought that theoretical equation into like a science environment, a mathematical environment, a whatever environment, nobody would take that type of combination and be like, oh yeah, there's going to be good that comes out of this, or some type of solidarity or conclusion. And I'm just like, this is why I'm mad, because whether I told her, I was like, whether I got on the line right now and I just blasted the side of like F cops and F this is so stupid, or I went on the other side, said F the media because we don't know the whole story, this, safe this, whatever. I'm just like, there's no win here. Even if I did the successful version of either of those things and I got a million people behind me on either, side of the argument, and I know there's more than just two sides, I'm dumbing it down for the conversation, but to me, it's like, it's not solvable. And this sucks. So I don't necessarily have an answer for it. I'm just like, and then I just hear about that. I'm like, if my kid got shot, I wouldn't even know if they would call him a black kid or a white kid. You know what I'm saying? It's like, at this point, I don't give any Fs. I'm just like, I want my family to be safe. I want them to be level-headed, and mostly I want them to be informed so they can autonomously make their decisions too. Because also, being a husband and a father, I'm not going to force them to view these things a certain way or whatever. I'm going to actually give them the full story of what I can perceive and what I've learned, historically with my experience, because I've had run-ins with the cops, both very good and very bad, where they went out of their way to be kind and help and, do stuff that they don't even need to, and then other ones where they went out of their way to be, definitely prejudiced, definitely racist. And I've experienced both, and it's not always just white cops either. So it's just like, the biggest thing is like the layer of media and fractional stories on top of it that really muddies the water. And I'm just like, it's very disheartening sometimes, which is why I'm glad we talk so much, because it would throw me into like 2-3 days of just, really just being somber, if you will,
Yeah, I've had bad situations with cops. I mean, I got let off once when I was guilty as hell from a black cop.
Yeah.
From a black cop. And I also got harassed. I mean, there's little things like for like car tints, but like a couple days in a row from the same white cop.
Right.
I mean, people are people. People are people. And they're, if you have power, then you just have the ability. And it's all perception too. If you take it negatively, not all the time. I mean, sometimes this is objectively like, all right, that's just unnecessary. But sometimes it's your opinion. And it's, how you perceive situations and what kind of situations are you putting yourself in.
Right.
So one of the things that you said reminded me from that story from the Detroit Lions, the whole NFL. You probably heard about Roger Goodell. Did you hear what he said about? He said that we should have listened to Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, now they're bringing all that back again.
Yep. So they're bringing it back, and now he's saying like, "Oh, we should have listened to this." So now
he should get praise, because if we would have listened to him,
bro, now they're going completely. So they're just jumping on the LeBron train. But they said in part of the article there, you scroll down to the Detroit Lions. They're standing behind this big banner or this big spray painted thing. But there was a quote that said, if you're being silent, you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the most dangerous. It's like either you're racist or you're anti-racist. It's like, no. You can't be not racist. So I have to be on top of like my soapbox ranting about, really? You mean I can't just live my life? So you have the loud minority, which is growing, but this extremist minority that's just louder. And you have most people are living their life, doing their fucking thing. Right. One, they don't have time to track all this stuff. Two, they're in a situation where they have maybe 1-2 jobs, a couple kids, like they're fucking hustling. They don't have time to go and protest these are people that don't have anything to do. And I know a lot of people lost their jobs. I know it's different than it ever has been in terms of, but there's been depressions before. There's been shitty economies before. It goes through cycles. So it's not now, instead of people seeing the opportunity, And I mean, come on, even if you're poor in this country, you got a fucking cell phone. I'm just saying, you got a cell phone.
Or you can have access to one pretty damn quick.
You should be going down to the Salvation Army and flipping your fucking.
Bro, that has to be
great.
the number one line I've heard from him ever.
All right, hold on. Let me just give context.
Well, I know it was a comedy, but
yeah, no, I gotta give context. So, Katie sent me this clip from TikTok. Someone was doing this impression of Gary Vee, and it was so good. But he was like literally saying, the character, he was asking himself, he was putting on like a hat and then pretending to be Gary Vee and then not being. So he was pretending to ask him a question like, hey, how do I do X, Y, and Z? Just a question completely off topic. And then his impression was like, you just gotta do it. You just gotta go flip things and go down to the Salvation Army and just like, and go by. And the guy's like, okay. Like,
I didn't even
like the Salvation Army. So, but most people have the opportunity. They don't see the opportunity. And even though there's a lot of distress, there's a lot of shit going on, man, go online and build something. Something. There's not enough people building. Everyone's just being negative and tearing shit down rather than going in the streets and complaining and fucking recording everything. Another one yesterday. I posted it 6 hours ago. Customer went on a rant. Did you see that? You probably didn't.
Yeah, actually, no, I sure did. The Asian one, and she went off on the black dude, and I watched I want to say 5 or 10 minutes of that before the PROCAST.
Bro, so this is called customer raging because business isn't black owned. You're stealing black culture. Come on, I have been, no joke. There's a sushi place, down the street here.
It's already racist. Don't
you Dude, there's a sushi place that we've gone, and I've been in there, and there was a black guy behind there making sushi. Was I like, wait a second, he's not Japanese? No, made some awesome sushi, and I fucking ate it, and I loved it.
Hey, DeQuavis, can I get
Deshaun, give me some Deshaun tuna roll, motherfucker.
And that's, I mean, we need some humor relief, man. We need some hey, we're all in this shit together. Like, come on now. Like our next generations depend on us getting our heads out of our ass and actually doing something about this shit. Like, ignorance is not going to solve this. Division is not going to solve this. Like, no leader is going to solve this. I don't care what type of, infrastructure you believe in on a political or governmental level. It's just like none of that shit. Those can be proxies or bridges or indicators into those moments, or whatever. And of course that we have some type of, direct and indirect effect because of them. But again, autonomy, right? We live in a country that actually provides us that for now. Who's to say that's not going to change over the next 5, 10, 15 years, depending on how crap is going. But it's like while we have the opportunity and the freedoms to have autonomy and to build and whatever, it's like even this year, y'all, and not to toot my own horn or anything, so I'll keep this 20, 30 seconds, but I started a business, my third business, right before the effing pandemic. And it's providing for my whole family right now sustainably.
Quick too. You pulled that off quick.
May,
you pivoted hard, bro.
August. 4 months, you guys. I'm a black dude in America. I'm not sure if I can or if I could or couldn't do that anywhere else.
You're black. You're you're a little bit.
I'm African.
Yeah, come on, bro.
I'm Tiger Woods without the Asian. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I don't know if you're really. I mean, do you count? Do you?
I'm a half a point on the scoreboard. So.
I'm being colorist.
Yeah,
I'm just going past the race. I'm going right to color.
Right.
You know what you need to do?
You're bald head shaming is what you're doing.
You know what I need to do? I need to go.
Nothing to do about race.
We need to have little cards where you hold it up next to someone's skin and be like, wait a second.
Right. Like the Home Depot cards where
you're matching paint.
Yeah.
Oh God. And you're a 40, you're a 47. You start calling her a 47.
You're like an off eggshell with a little bit of sun kiss. Oh my God.
But the problem is people are going to just start creating different colors. All right. Anyway. I think we've offended anyone by this point.
Right. If you're still listening to this podcast, you're the true ones.
Yeah, you're straight. We're good. And that was now we're starting the PROCAST. That was the intro. Yeah. I mean, if you can do it, look, if you can do it.
Now granted, I have I understand a little bit of what I'm doing because I've been an entrepreneur before, but it's more so the gate was open. You know what I'm saying? Like I just made the decision. I picked a vision. I picked a direction I want to go. I developed my products, my services. I established a brand online. I market that every freaking day. I collab with stuff with you, and I'm still growing my music on my side, and I'm still talking about whatever the hell I want to talk about my music, whatever the hell I want to talk about my marketing. Nobody's telling me what to do, and I'm making money in a marketplace that does not belong to me. Do you like? I mean, if this like I always try to tell people like one way to be level-headed is to bring it back, a couple hundred or even a couple thousand years. Like if this was, like I think I mentioned like the ship docks or something in an episode or two ago. It's like if I couldn't just walk into a marketplace and be like, I'm here, buy my products. Like they would all be like, first of all, pay for your little stand over there. Second of all, you can't, like there's rules to this crap. Like I think we're so entitled of like, oh, we deserve this because we exist. No, you don't. Aside from air, food, and all the basic necessities, which I know you talk about in your content all the time, we don't deserve anything else. Like we're not entitled to anything else, and everything else is due to where we live. And regardless of how that came about, this is our reality. And yes, we can change, but we can change based off of the freedoms we already have, not by just screwing everybody and shaving everybody's corners of what they can and can't do, can and can't say, can and can't go. Like, come on, and then that's only ever going to bleed into the digital world. And we know everything in the digital world is exponentially faster in its speed and its, sort of like how it spreads than it would be in the real world. So it's like those things will just get worse faster, if we don't actually, like I said, get our heads out of our asses. It's just not okay.
Yeah, but everything that you're doing is built upon, shocker, it's built on experience and built on what you did yesterday. So again, when it comes to, you can like Snapchat.
I also gained that experience in America when I was 19 and I got married and I started a business and started having a family. Nobody like I was in China. Nobody came to me and said, you can have one kid. Nobody said you can have two kids. Nobody said you can't and can't start a business. Nobody said you can and can't marry a white woman. Like all of that, everything I am today exists because I have the freedom to do so. And I have the wherewithal to have the confidence to pursue those things too. And y'all, I did not come from mind you, I did not come from good places. I mean, I have the same story that 99.9% of Black people have in regards to poverty, no father, abuse, like all of that kind of stuff. Like I grew up with the same thing, and I had a couple of fortunate relationships in the family that allowed me to come out of that. Some of my half brothers and sisters didn't make it out of, the scenarios and are still in those scenarios. And some of them aren't alive today or life in prison, whatever it is. But it's like, I still had the opportunity. I think that's the key point, the opportunity to do so. Like there's places in this world that exist that you don't even have the freaking choice. You just have to live like that, period. End of story. Shut up. Like that's like, imagine living like that.
You couldn't marry a white woman, like 40 years ago.
Right.
Or even 30, like in the 70s, I think they changed the law. Like what are you, and people don't talk about that enough, about the Black community and not having father figures and not having any kind of like that. Doesn't get, you did a piece. I don't know if you posted. I remember you sent me that.
Oh, right. I haven't posted yet. I'm going to. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that like referenced that, but you hear it and I listen to it. It's just it's like the way people don't talk about child sex trafficking or child porn.
Right.
It's a huge problem, but no one wants to address it directly. It just kind of gets shoved under the rug because it's so gross that no one wants to handle it.
Right.
It's like, because I think it's something where, how do you fix that? How do you fix? And I think it's the same thing as, and I don't know if I could even draw this comparison. You'll know what I mean. And you could probably, and then when you respond, but the way like my content goes to the source, 7 pillars, it goes to the foundation.
Right.
It's not glamorous. It's not easy. It's like, oh, well, here, take this pill or do my program. You'll lose guaranteed transformation. People want to believe in the fantasy.
Right.
Fantasy sells, but it's not realistic. You start talking about realistic truth and people get fucking pissed and it doesn't sell well. I disagree. I think people want the actual reality. I think now is the time where you fucking be real with people because they are dying for that. People want real shit. They're tired of the bullshit. They realize, oh, fuck, everything that I'm exposed to has been a lie for the last 30 years.
Yep.
I didn't realize how biased everything was, but people don't want to address, oh, how are we going to get fathers to stick around? How are we going to get the family unit back together? Oh, I don't know. Let's just ignore it. It's fucking systemic racism. Really? Most fucking murders and most are black on black crime. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's only.
And I have some of that in my family.
So let's the news. Let's just focus on white on black.
Yep.
Let's not talk about the black guy who walks across the street or walks to his neighbor's yard, point blank shoots a 5-year-old dude. Can you imagine if a white man, 30, 40 years old, walked next door, shot a 5-year-old black kid in the head? Do you have any idea?
This world would be over in a week.
You think George Floyd?
Right.
This would be over. I don't care if it was in North Carolina. I don't care if it was in Alaska.
Right.
If it was in fucking the dick tip of Alaska, like the Aleutian Islands, as far away as you can, as close to Russia, like you're like next door, you're looking at those big tall hats in Mongolia, the fucking tip of Siberia. You could be as far, if you are on American soil and that happened, that would be it would be nonstop. It would make George Floyd look like a fucking, like a spring. It would make it look like
show or some bullcrap.
It rained for 10 minutes on the 3rd of August. Oh, okay. That would be the George Floyd thing.
Right.
But this happens. You don't even hear about it. You can do a search and it'll pull up, but you have to fucking search for it. Who the hell is searching for black man kills white boy?
Which also too, like that, for example, this is also why I'm pissed at the media, because who's controlling that shit? Like, now, granted, I'm not saying the actual scenario happening, that was completely who like whatever parties were involved, but you had like nobody is making you not talk about that.
Right.
Nobody is making these media companies and these corporations not talk about it. They're choosing not to.
Exactly.
And they can't plead the fifth, and say they had negligence towards not knowing or whatever. Like they they all know this shit. They all know what's going on. So that's like there's multiple layers to this, and this is where I'm like I can tell that they're not solution focused. It's still all about how much attention and revenue can we get off of these things, and obviously there's going to be distortion behind the doors. I don't really, care to, discuss that, but I'm just like, why aren't we hearing about this? And it's a mix of black and white executives at media companies and Asian executives and how all these different cultures that work for the media companies who are either way over talking and exposing about things or way under talking and hiding everything under a rock, and
it's hard to cover everything. So whenever they do talk about any one thing that, it's an active choice. Why are they covering it? There's a reason.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason. And look, if you're trying to get clicks, if your entire industry is dying, because this is the Swolenormous PROCAST. Obviously, we're talking about current events. I'm doing red, white, and swole. Sure, it's my opinion based on what I read. I mean, look, that's what commentary is. And commentary is replacing news reporting. Okay. When you have the news channels pretty much just doing commentary, that's not what we need. I can do commentary because I'm not on the ground. I'm giving my opinion on the news. What I'm really doing is giving my opinion on someone else's opinion. I'm trying to look for, okay, this happened. When you read an article and it's all spin, it's all bias, but you can't get away from that. That's human nature. There's always going to be a bias. If a human being is saying it, it's biased. It's biased in some way. You have to read it like that old Macintosh voice, like 2 men walked into a bar and 1 man sat down. No one wants to read that. It's not entertaining. So they're trying to get clicks. They're trying to get views. They're trying to get reach. They're just struggling because, especially now when everyone has the technology and everyone can live stream from their phone, you literally have just 100 million reporters. You have 100 million news channels, which essentially is what's going on. So rather than having the big 3, you have a billion different stories that no one can pay attention to. So guess who wins?
Yep.
The loudest motherfucker in the room.
Decentralized
person.
Sourcing.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember if we talked about it on the PROCAST or it was one of my videos or a combination of both or whatever. But yeah, it's essentially media anymore is just organized and categorized advertising and news talent. You're either reporting and commentating on stuff and regurgitating it, which is curated content, or you're creating original content, and you're serving the advertising infrastructure of whatever platform you're going towards, unless you have autonomy, like we try to teach creators of, the fact that you are as large as you are brand wise and you don't accept brand deals, you don't accept or just large. Yeah.
I'm large in a a couple different ways.
Right. But you black below the belt.
Right. Wait, hold on. Where's my card? Let me see the.
Right.
Yeah. Very, very much so.
If we were on TikTok, it'd be like, nice cock, man. Nice cock. Nice cock.
Nice, right? Nice cock.
Nice cock.
Nice cock. Nice cock.
Hey man. Nice.
Oh, I got a new thing that you're gonna think is fire. I got a new thing we can pivot to TikTok in a second. But yeah, I mean, the thing is you want to say freedom of speech is great. You want to say everyone has a voice, cool. But here's the thing, bro. I don't want to be like anti-free speech. I don't want people not to have access, but where does it go? Because you have the ability to share your voice, but man, there's a lot of noise and it's not going to get quieter. So what happens? Do you think it's just a maturity thing where we have to get used to hearing all this noise for a couple more years until that noise becomes just that background, noise floor, like from an audio standpoint? Yep. When you turn up the amp too much, it's like now it's like shh. But then after maybe a couple more years, that's just going to be our tolerance for that, and we'll have to like shift into another gear and go above that even higher.
Yeah.
I think it's always going to be the cream rises to the top. This is kind of like the midst of this technological revolution, which it really is. You have this huge overthrow. It's not from the caste system socially. It's from the power system digitally, where we're getting it's an information revolution. Yep. So right now, this information revolution, we're shifting from CBS, NBC, nightly news to, I don't know, like channels like mine, where I'm reporting, commentating on certain things, or Twitter, like certain accounts that have proven to be more unbiased, that are on the ground.
Right.
And I think if anything, if there's any kind of platform or things to do, when sometimes you can choose your location, you can bullshit where you did the video from, you can customize the location, like in my backyard or in the Swole house or things like that.
Yep.
I think the only way you can do it is maybe if there's some kind of like app or methodology where if you're on the ground, like you're literally, there's some kind of, maybe like you're certifying organic, where you took this video yourself in this location. So it's proof that you were there. This is an unbiased, there's going to have to be some kind of technology that goes above it. So you realize the integrity of what's being posted, that this person posted it legit. This isn't made up. This isn't edited. But I feel like it's just in the middle of where people get their information. And that's where a lot of these smaller channels that just report and comment, they're not wrong, because when you hear something delivered in a certain way, it might seem unbiased. It might seem like this happened at this time, but then you're only covering that story, and you don't get any aggressive pushback because you're worried about the FCC, you're worried about this, that, and the other. Right. If you're speaking to your audience and you're just telling your opinion and you're actually sharing both sides, again, like that other situation with the black man and the white boy, I mean, we don't hear about that. Why doesn't that get equal attention? It doesn't, for obvious reasons, because it doesn't fit, like we always talk about, it doesn't fit the story, the narrative. It's a story that ruins the story. No, it's a different story. We're not talking about that. We're on this story right now.
Right.
And if you can't get off the train, if you're just going to be blinded, it's just sad when people that have this kind of, I should say sad. I think it's scary when you have the NBA and the NFL just like essentially bending a knee to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You start really because that's how big organizations fall. You have that horizontal spread, and that virus. I'll tell you what's systemic. It's the woke culture. It's not racism. The other shit is systemic. And now it's just bubbling to the surface. Everyone's protecting their fucking ass. And the majority, the majority are quiet because, one, they're busy doing shit.
Right.
They don't care. They're not aware. Like, you can't be aware of anything. And then they're vulnerable to their friends and family, and people that don't agree are quiet. So we need more people to speak up, because guess what? Oh, I'll speak up later if it gets really serious. Oh, I'll talk up when it comes to me. Like, oh, if I have to stand up, I'll stand up. Bullshit. If you have like a mob coming towards you, you're going to bend a knee too. You're going to protect yourself. So like what you were saying, protecting your family.
Yep.
I just can't bullshit I just can't bullshit people. And I know it's going to get pushed back, but that's why I started other channels. That's why we're talking about this, because you have a unique perspective, but we think very similarly. And it's just really, it's really strange how people are voluntarily distracting themselves with this shit when there's so much opportunity. There's so many things that you can do right now. And it sounds almost like, hey, you can take advantage of the situation because people are looking this direction. It's like, no, but we have to adapt. We have to deal with the situation. We can't just set shit on fucking fire. We got to move forward. We're going to live in this world where it's burning shit down. Do you want to live in a Mad Max world? Are you crazy? Why are we getting rid of, you want no law and order? How are you going to have any business that thrives? You're going to, you want to kill the economy, then fucking keep on defunding the police. You're going to have just gang rule. Where is, you want to make this fucking third world country Africa style? Really?
Reversing what, 50, 60, 80 years? Jesus, that we already had that. It didn't work.
But you can see the bullshit because what Dr. Martin Luther King, right? Everyone quotes him, blah, blah, blah. I thought actions spoke louder than words. What are your actions? I thought it was just, I hope for my children, right, that we can, what's the quote? For the content of our character, not the color of our skin.
Yep.
The only important thing now is the color of the skin. What the fuck are people doing? What is wrong with people? It's the exact opposite of what everyone's been working for. Race is always going to be there and no one wants to talk about it, but are there genetic differences? Fuck yeah, there are. Yeah. Do certain genetic differences give advantages? Sure. A lot of black dudes can jump a lot higher than me. So why do you think there are more black people in the NBA? All right, cool. It'll be a better. So it's mostly black. Well, you got mostly white people playing golf. Fuck it. Right? Why can't black people just be better at basketball in general? Why not? Why not? It is what it is. So the best are going to play. You got some white dudes in there too. You got some black people playing golf, Tiger Woods. So you got where are the black people playing tennis?
Or swimming.
They don't want to play. They don't want to play fucking tennis. You know why? Because basketball, you can play by yourself too. You can get good by yourself.
Right. You
can't play tennis by yourself. You hit against the wall. Sure. You can't play baseball by yourself. Right. There's certain things you can't do by yourself. So a lot of people pick up a ball, low cost of entry. You go to a fucking park, have a ball and play. I grew up in New York City. People ball all the time. People are nasty.
Yeah.
Nasty. So the competition is just, and that's where, bro, I mean, to play baseball, you need 18 people. You need umpires. There's a lot of overhead. You want to play 3-on-3. Like, hey, you want to play? Game.
Yep.
Hey, you want to have a catch? Like, okay. It's a whole different thing, right? So, I mean, why can't some people, and even within the race, you're going to have some people like me, like, all right, I'm a fitness person. Some people are going to be great at basketball or great at sewing or building chairs.
Right.
It's like, why can't people just be better at certain things?
Yeah.
Get off the whole race train, for God's sake.
Yeah. It's interesting times. You just, one of the things you just said reminded me of, almost everything reminds me of The Office, but I feel like if The Office aired today, all of those celebrities would be canceled. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually re-canceled everybody in that show. Cause first of all, I have not missed a day. Very similar to like your podcast.
No, didn't they remove an episode or weren't they trying to? Weren't they, dude, Google that.
Really?
I think they were trying to delete an episode of The Office. I think either they refused or they did because there was one episode where something happened. Let me look it up.
Although, because there's racism in almost every episode.
Yeah, but you know it better than I do. You'll know what you know what they're talking about. I love this show. Office canceled for woke. I don't even know what searches.
While you're looking that up too, I remember one of your audience members the other day, speaking of woke, had made a pretty interesting comment, and she was like, we're kind of living in a culture where we're trying to out woke each other. And I thought even the way she phrased it, I can't remember the exact sentence, but it was very intelligent. Like it is because you don't. It was on the Daily Soul. One of your members was like, yeah, it's almost like everybody's trying to out woke each other, and then there's different versions of woke, and it's like I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, is it the person that's the most flamboyant, the loudest, that can do the craziest thing? And now it's like literally, like you said, it's like a requirement that if you're not woke in this way, it doesn't even count as woke. And it's like, how is that any different than any other type of systematic injustices or whatever? It's like, okay, now I can't even join in in support in any capacity based off of the context of my life because I have to be a certain version and or a certain level of woke. And it's just like, no. So now we literally have what is it called? Segmentation and segregation within woke people. And so we're not only do we have X or Y access segregation, we have X. It's literally like third and fourth dimensional.
Check this out. I'm gonna bring this up on the screen so you can see it. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh shoot, it came to this screen. All right, whatever. So the blackface scene. I forget what season. I don't know. I'm sure you know.
Ooh.
So it says, let me just zoom in here. Right. So The Office cuts black. So they did it. This is June. The Office cuts blackface scene, community refute. So all these different.
I think it was
three episodes of Scrubs were removed from Hulu for their depictions of blackface. Oh, get over it, man.
Jesus.
Right. So The Office blackface scene. So 30 Rock. So let's see. What episode of The Office was removed?
I'm pretty sure it's the one where they were doing
season 2, episode 5.
The Michael's script.
It says right here, Halloween.
Oh, Halloween. Okay.
Season 2, episode 5.
Interesting. I have them on DVD too, so I'll have to see.
The Office episode edited to remove blackface scene. Come on, man.
They're gonna have to go deep. I promise you, if that's already happened, they're gonna have to go deeper. My wife and I have been saying literally for like 2 or 3 years, like it's a matter of time before they're just like, all right, let's just cut that because that was for 20 years ago. Because it's just some of the comments, it's like, even when Stanley's having a heart attack and stuff, he's like, Stanley, Barack is president, don't die, Stanley, you're black, Stanley. It's just, and then the other one where he's like, I mean, the actor menu, but whatever the Kelly on The Office, there's so many like Hinduism, racial slurs and all that kind of stuff. There's gay racial slurs. It's just like, it's everywhere. It's like you would literally have to cancel that whole show.
But here's the fucking problem. You're holding a show that was made, when was The Office? 20 years ago? 15?
Right.
15, like when they were mid filming, right?
2009 was like pretty like the peak of it, I think.
Okay, so you're going to start again. They're probably removing all these old movies from the 60s and 70s. That's erasing history. That's fucked up.
Yeah,
leave it. It's education. You're going to remove every instance of blackface. What are you gonna put Genghis Khan on trial because he killed millions of people? He's dead.
I'm sure some of his descendants are alive. You're gonna hold them accountable because you come from a lineage of.
Dude, isn't it like the quarter of the world's population are related to Genghis Khan? I think it's something ridiculous. There's a massive percentage of the population because he fucking had he banged everyone. He just raped and pillaged. But hey, we don't talk about that. It's only going to be the few. You're trying to change history. You can't. It's done. History is done. It's over.
There's a pretty good show about that, Genghis Khan. I forget where it's at. You might know. I think it's either on Netflix or Hulu.
There's a great podcast, Wrath of the Khans. If you want to listen, it's long. Like each episode's like 4, 5, 6 hours. Hardcore history.
Who's the host?
Dan Carlin.
Nice.
The best one that I've listened to was the one on. It was a 6-part. Like each one, it's like 5, 6 hours. But it's a 6-part. It's called Blueprint for Armageddon. It's a 6-part series on World War One. Most of what he does is like 5 or 6 parts. So the Wrath of the Khans is insane. Yeah. But World War One, it's just millions. Everyone talks about World War II. World War One was just literally an entire generation of Americans were just fucking wiped out.
Yeah.
Just literally sent everyone over there and just got mowed down. It was a waste. There's disgusting waste of life on both sides. But you hear about the humanity during it. You hear about the humanity where there's like breaks where for like Christmas, they were playing soccer back and forth. They took a pause from killing each other and they stopped, of course, and went back to slaughtering each other. It's weird.
There's a Rachel reference about that in The Office too, where Karen comes into the new office and he's like, "Oh, you look very exotic. Was your dad a GI?" So it's like literally he's talking about when they used to rape the people, and so that's why it's like, come on,
like Vietnam or something.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
But it's a comedy and it's funny. It's like going to a comedy club or watching a show and then getting angry. You're trying to make people laugh. You gotta have some lightness about it. No pun intended. But that's where that's where the NFL, NBA, why do you watch sports? They're trying to make it, everyone's trying to be Jackie Robinson, right? Everyone's trying to break some barrier. Like, what are you breaking? Literally everyone that plays in the NFL, I mean, not everyone, but what percentage are black? What percentage in the NBA? Like, what are you complaining about?
You just made a point a lot of people aren't talking about.
But I'm also not saying that someone who rises to prominence didn't grow up in poverty, I'm not saying that they didn't have bad experiences, but people are watching these things for escape, for entertainment.
Right.
If you're making everything divisive and political, and so you're gonna people are tired of that shit.
Yeah.
They're just fatigued. And I think people are underestimating the fatigue. And when you're so fatigued and so overloaded, what do? You just get fucking angry, and it pushes you to the other side. So it creates this huge split, which is eventually like a bubble. Let's say you have a bubble, right? It goes this way. What happens? Like a cell, like mitosis, when it's splitting, it goes far enough to just being.
Yep.
And then it just floats away. So and I think the powers that be are trying to do that. I mean, that's how you break down a fucking society. But
yeah.
You're going to say something about.
I was going to say, you're making a fantastic point that I don't think a lot of people are talking about too. And I know there's different perspectives even on this level, but it's like, how about the fact that a lot, like you said, most of 60, 75% of these organizations are, black players or mixed players or, cross-cultural, whatever. It's like, y'all are getting paid tens of millions of dollars. Like, that also is not normal. Most of you are spending it on immediate materialism and or indirect materialism for your family. Some of it's merited. Obviously, you want to put your mom in a nice home or like whatever it is. But it's like, okay, how about you and it's not a comment of shut up and play. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying from the fact of name one white CEO that's making that amount of money without owning the business. Name one, you see what I'm saying?
Name someone who's making LeBron James money that doesn't own a company?
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be LeBron James level. Even some of the people who are only making $1 to $5 million, it's like name your average. Now, of course, like your top, 30-40% of the Fortune 500 are all going to be, CEOs making somewhere between 500K to 3 million or whatever. But that's what I'm saying is like don't skip some of the facts of like how much control you have. Part of the thing is breaking the mindset that the white person is the one that has to fix it. How about we all gather together? And I say we as if I'm the one also making tens of millions of dollars, but it's like, and we create organizations that go in and infuse this change and create additional laws or whatever. It's like it's almost like going back to the bully that fucked you over in high school and saying, hey, can you live your life differently so I can set my mind free of, it's like, no. Just forget about and I know that's a sensitive topic and it's comparing slavery and racism and all that kind of stuff to bullying. I get the sensitivity. Guys, I'm half black. I understand. But it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, but take the power you do have and do something with it. All the people, even in the black community that we idolize, they didn't wait for white people to do something. They did something about it with the power they had. And they didn't have damn near tens of millions of dollars to do it. So the people even we idolize in our culture are doing far more or did far more with less. Dr. Martin Luther King was not getting paid $10 million a year to throw a ball. And I don't want to say period, end of story, but that's a huge point. That's a very huge point.
Yeah, he wasn't burning down car dealerships either. He wasn't rioting. He was protesting, and he was using his words. And he was appealing to the interest of all people. Let's grow together. Let's build this together. It's personal responsibility.
Right.
And we talk about this all the time on the podcast, and it has to do with weight loss because they're very similar. The woke culture with the social justice, with BLM, it's very similar to fat acceptance. You see this in profiles. I know you see it on TikTok too. You have someone have their thing. It says BLM in the profile. She, her, and then it says hash, and then it has then she has a rainbow fucking flag. Like it's intersect. You have every little, as long as you check off these boxes, you can't be attacked because you can just, dip and dive into these different areas. So if you're talking against someone because they're posting something about something social justice, but they're like, hey, but then there are trans persons, then you're offending trans and you're against like, Jesus Christ. If you have enough things, and you claim enough things, then you can be offended. You have more options for taking offense, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and just
no, let me finish this point, because if you don't take personal responsibility for your own health, then you don't have to change it. So if it's white privilege or it's the patriarchy that's and diet culture that's the problem, if it's not your fault, you don't have to change. So if you take responsibility, that's the only way that you can change, because if you don't have the power, if you didn't do it, if it was some other power that did it to you, you're the victim. You can't do anything about it. So I may as well just eat more cheeseburgers and be a lazy fuck because it's them, not me. Get the fuck out of here. Take responsibility. And if you don't, you don't have to. So they don't want to take responsibility because then they'll have to change. It'll be their fault. Pussies. You fucking alone.
Maybe if I eat more cheeseburgers.
Yeah, eat some more cheeseburgers. Eat it. Maybe diet culture will change if you get fat enough. So
man, all these gyms letting people actually, grunt when they're lifting heavy shit because that's
my God.
So let's create a gym that has pizza parties and Tootsie Rolls.
Dude, Planet Fitness was the original fucking woke gym. They kind of snuck in there and people were like, what the fuck? And now they just took it and ran with it. I have these stats here. So the NFL at the start of the 2014. So 2014, by 2020, 70% of the players in the NFL are black. 70. Okay. So all the hardships there. Let's see. In 2015, it says for the NBA, 75%. So
can you pull a statistic on what is the total amount of contracts paid in the NFL and then take 70% of it?
The total money?
Yeah, total money distributed through contracts in the NFL and then take 70% of that. Because the point I want to make is whatever that number is, you know what the F you could do with that money?
Hold on. From total money in contracts paid out by NFL.
Because I think I know like not all contracts are like guaranteed. Some of them are just literally a piece of paper that could be void after the guaranteed amount or whatever.
The total. Yeah, well, that depends because you can't take just 70% just because some people.
Yeah, I'm just doing rough averages because like for me, I'm like, okay, if you for example, if Papa Swolio and KD were getting paid $10 million a year, first of all, we're gonna have, you already know, you and I are both gonna have like a freaking newsroom full of equipment, people, storytellers, all that kind of stuff, whatever. But it's just like control your own voice, control your own narrative, like push forward things that matter to you, create media, create content, audio, visual, textual, like get creative with how you network and collaborate with people, infuse what matters to you into the world that you live in. I'm sorry that you have to drive a Range Rover to your $10 million practice facility and sit in your cryo tanks and I apologize that that's hard and that you can't take some of that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, so I'm saying if we're going to play this game, like if there's anybody who's good at playing devil's advocate and being really cynical, it's KD. Like let's truly play devil's advocate here and go on to both sides of everything. If I feel like in a different life, I tell my wife this, I would have been like a lawyer, a professional debater. So I think, for me, I'm just like, yeah, this is, and it gets to the point, to your white noise point, is like it gets to where I just don't get, like, I have my family, and at the end of the day, I will be held accountable for raising my family unit in character and integrity and in good faith and all of that kind of stuff. And that's what I will be held accountable to, because guess what? I'm not linking arms with anybody on my deathbed. Like none of y'all are gonna be sitting next to but my family will, the people that matter to me will. And if I've done a good job at nurturing and taking care of those relationships, I've done a good job in my professional career at adjusting when I F up and capitalizing when I'm doing good and making sure I'm using those, resources in a good way. That's what I'm after. And so for me, it's like, yeah, if I have an opportunity to stand up for the little guy or, whatever, or even, speak life into my own culture on both sides because I have a biracial family, I'm going to do that. But you're never going to see me raising a flag that says F you because you're not on my level of understanding. Like, get out of here. That's just like, and I think some of that understanding comes to for my musicianship in my career. It's like same thing with, let's say playing drums. Like I, at one point in my career, I was a professional drummer for a couple of years. That's literally how I made my living, doing clinic tours, doing online education, all that kind of stuff. And that's what I want to do in my life. I'll probably circle back around through producing and music and all that kind of stuff. And, at least have a studio at my home. But it's like, even then I would never look at somebody, I've played drums since third grade. I would never be 20 some years in and be like, oh, you've been playing for a year, you're not on my level, so I don't even want to have a conversation about, rhythm or what drum sets you should buy and all that kind of stuff. Like, get out of here. It's like, it's just a timeline, it's a mental timeline. It's an understanding timeline, a consciousness timeline, an experience timeline, a generational timeline. Like, we're all at different levels of that. So we have to meet each other in a place where we can share intelligence, share learnings, and actually, accept them at face value for like, oh yeah, that is your heritage. That's your experience. That's your, knowledge. Thank you for bringing me into that, because A, we're not required to just because we have the freedom to, but B, it actually takes time and energy to bring other people into your circles. Like, so it's like that same energy that we're spending on just literally effing everybody. It's like, use that energy. And I know it sounds so cheesy and cliche, but use that energy for unity, like for real,
It's cliche, but just like stereotypes, a lot of stereotypes are true. For the way you think it's a stereotype, it's like, well, in general, these things happen. It's like, yeah, in general, but people use that as, well, everyone. Well, it's like when people use stereotypes wrong, it's like that defines a stereotype. It doesn't, the literal definition means it's like the majority, or what the impression is of whether it's a race or a group of people or certain, or like CrossFitters, right? Or vegans. The stereotype for vegan is that they're fucking, you're bad for eating meat. They're out picketing and stuff. That's an extreme stereotype. Most vegans would say, we don't claim that lunatic, right? People are doing it for different reasons. CrossFitters are a certain way. They wear certain things and they only don't shut up and they start talking. It's like, not all of them. Those are just the loudest ones. So the loudest ones create the stereotype. And it's just like, it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just not right all the time, just like anything else. You can't define one group or one race or even one person. It's the same thing. You can atomize that. Look at one of my videos, watch one driving while gaining, and then judge me as an individual. Like, get the fuck out of here. Even when I make a response video or I talk about someone mukbanging, I mean, that's one video that they did. And I'm like, I don't like the intent of that video. I don't think this person should be putting out content. I don't think they're a horrible person and should be executed. Right. I don't think that person should suffer. I'm just saying, like, well, what's the intent of them putting out this video? For views, for likes? It's perpetuating terrible shit. YouTube is promoting this nonsense. It gets tons of views and attention. People are already fat and dying. Again, it comes down to COVID. It comes down to all these issues that people are dealing with. But all the people that are dying from COVID, dying from the flu, getting shot by the police. Okay, so that one instance that the recent one, that Jacob guy, that one instance. No talk about the 30 to 40,000 people every month that die from obesity related issues every month. And there are black people in there too. Black people in the South are fat, obese, and that's why they die at a higher percentage from COVID. It's not because it's a white made virus. It doesn't mean that COVID is racist. It means that we have found out that probably vitamin D is very important. Well, if you have black skin, you don't absorb vitamin D very well. And most people are deficient in vitamin D anyway, and they don't supplement, and it's very cheap, but they don't, because they don't have the right education or information, because you don't hear anyone talking about supplementing vitamin D in the fucking news. They just say, well, stay at home and social distance. Get sun, supplement. Vitamin D is like $10 for just get at Walgreens. Just get some vitamin fucking D. Go out in the sun for a second. Not to mention obesity. Vitamin C, right? So take vitamin C, take vitamin D, but it's right. So no one talks about that. No one talks about that. No one talks about the obesity issues. Instead, we are trying to justify that you can't prove science doesn't. We're trying to nitpick studies that try to coat or put this veil over people's faces, that obesity isn't bad. You can't just change a hashtag and say something different and that be the reality. Just because you don't want to change and take personal responsibility, you cannot change the facts of the situation. And that's what's happening everywhere where it comes to the NFL, NBA, fat acceptance. It's all the same shit. It's all the same shit. It's like, look at me, give me attention, feel bad for me. I didn't do this. Help me. I'm the victim. It's pretty nauseating, bro.
Yeah. We are fundamentally flawed until we understand, like, you can't hold an imperfect, biological organism to a standard that nobody can meet. It's just from a consciousness level, from a physiological.
Unrealistic.
It's unrealistic, and this is the shit right here. And I think this is why I kind of, my personality is to recluse, to absorb, to research and development, to just kind of be a sponge of my surroundings, because I promise you, if you are one of those pricks that is holding everybody else accountable, I don't care when, how, whatever, that shit comes back around, and it will come back. It will always come. And I'm not talking some karma shit. I'm not talking stuff like whatever you want, whatever name tag you want to freaking give it. That shit will come back around, especially as information becomes more accessible, more spread more fast. As technology becomes more advanced, it's like you will get called on your bullshit. So literally, it's not even an option anymore. Should you live an integral life, that regardless of cultural background, religious background, whatever, there needs to be a sense of self-actualization and awareness that allows you to have commonality with your other biological existing, organisms, and be like, hey, we're all 80-20 here, 80%, somewhat morally compass or whatever, and 20% fundamentally fucked to our core. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let's have that common understanding and realize that these are all shared environments.
And that's okay. And it's okay. And it's okay. You don't have to be the same as someone else. That'd be boring if we all looked the same. That'd be terrible. You all wear the same outfit. If you're in North Korea and you can't do certain things, people don't realize what this becomes. Right. If you're trying to single people out, like you're eating your own, you're not woke enough. You don't think like me. You go over here, you go sit over here because you don't think like me. You're on this team. You're not as pious as us. You're not as loud. You're not as anti-racist or anti-X, Y, and Z as us. And guess what? It goes like that until they're in power, and then they fucking imprison everyone else.
Yep.
That's what this shit happens. You use these movements as leverage. So whether it's the DNC, whoever's leveraging power, you use these movements and create the infighting within these groups and distract people from the real power play. Those people get in office, and then guess what? You step on everyone else and you actually you drop the hammer. And that's what that's what all this shit actually fucking leads to. We know, Marxism, we know it doesn't work. We've seen this go over and over again. There's a reason why it doesn't fucking work. Okay. It goes against the fundamental aspects of human nature.
Yep.
And the United States is an experiment. It really is. And it's a very good one. And it's getting better it's a prototype. Guess what happens? Dude, we update fucking iOS every goddamn week. All right. You get a new Mac operating system.
Literally just
you literally get ones and you're like, okay, and you get an update. Remember like 10 years ago, you got an update. You're like, fuck, this is going to take, it takes it 2 days, and plus it fucks up and it stops and you have to leave it updating for 20 hours. Now it's, over in 2 seconds. Anyway, so you update your operating systems. All right. So we update our operating system. You don't take your phone and smash it with a hammer. Oh shit. We have a new operating system. Let me just throw this let me just throw this into the ocean. Right. No, you just an update. And guess what an update does? It makes the existing thing a little bit better. Fixes some bugs. You update an app. Cool. So we update our app. We don't delete the app and throw the phone into the fucking ocean.
I want to put it past this group of generations that we live in to go back and be like, hey, Apple, if you're going to start an iPhone 1 and 2 should have better security and privacy, because now it's like, so now we're going to cancel Apple. And it's just like the rabbit hole doesn't stop for people who live in a freaking woe is me victim mindset of everything is happening to me and I'm reactionary. I have no, autonomy. I have no self-awareness. I have no ability to make decisions. It's like,
don't apologize, bro. Stop it.
People need to stop. Somebody somewhere else with way worse of a situation, way worse of an upbringing, way worse of a environment that's doing more with it, that has a better mindset, that isn't being a pansy ass about all this shit. It's like there's shit that's wrong, obviously, when it comes to let's not get into the list of things, but it's like there's clear shit that 99.9% of people would agree with. Like, yeah, let's not do that. Let's probably not do that. Let's stay away from that or whatever. And it's like, but the excuses, the signaling, it's too much to keep up with anymore. Even if I wanted to care about all of them deeply with empathy, with all of that kind of stuff, which I have understanding. I have empathy. It's like I wouldn't even be able to. I can't divide my mind in that many different ways, let alone do anything about it. So it's just like, when does it end? How deep does it go? I mean, we're losing collective consciousness and just becoming this muddy water of fuckery, essentially. And it's like, I know for one thing, my family will not stand for that shit, like, period. I won't let my kids grow up like that. I won't let my relationship be like that. And it's just like, we've had to make major strides and adjustments in our relationship over the past, 12, 18, 24 months. Even it was just because we realized certain things that we think and ways we live and all that kind of stuff. And, this relationship is two sides, it's just always, it goes like, man. And then what people like, to my point, punchline, got a little lost there, is what are you not doing when you're focusing all this stuff, which I think we slightly for like 30, 40 seconds talk about.
Nothing, bro.
You're not having better marriages, better family.
You're not doing it. They're not doing anything.
Zero.
They're not doing anything. They're just on Twitter all day long, or on TikTok, or on one of those apps nonstop, because there's just no end to it. And I think it's because before the vid, the internet was bumping. It was off the freaking chain.
Right.
But at the same time, you were in the flow of your normal routine. Now, when everyone got locked down improperly, by the way, but you went completely online and you just got inundated, and people are just trapped in that world. Ready Player One style. You're trapped in that bubble. Whoa. Like, you go outside and I run into people, I see them on the street. I say, hey, what's going on, man? Like, people I don't know, and everyone's fine and cool. It's like no one's rioting or fucking. It's like,
yeah, I've literally been on the phone with you before, where you're passing neighbors or walking on the street, walking Papa Swolio, and it's like I hear it, or sometimes we're on FaceTime too. I'm just like, yeah, it's just it's never as bad as it's portrayed in a digital environment.
But this is more than ever. You're having the digital environment overflow into reality. So now one event. And again, I'm not saying that the shooting of the Jacob dude, I keep forgetting his full name, but I'm not saying that the shooting was justified or that something bad didn't happen, but it is, even George Floyd is one instance. I'm not saying there weren't many. There's, you can't cover everyone's bases. Someone's going to be pissed off no matter what you say. But bottom line, there are a lot of people shot and a lot of people fucking killed every day. Way too many. Yep. Way too many people. It's a big country. There are hundreds of millions of people. A lot of stuff's going on all the time. That's not good. Yeah. To all people of all races, all ages, cities, small towns. There's accidents, there's DUIs, there's like literal horrible shit where someone drank too much, decided to drive home, killed a mother and her child, right? And the husband. There's fucking disgusting shit, but you don't hear about that because it doesn't incite. It's someone's mistake. Yeah. It's not the narrative. That's terrible shit, but you're not going to hear about that. You can find it if you look for it.
Right.
But no one wants to think about it. No one wants to think about child porn. No one wants to think about these grotesque things. You just want to jump on this fucking bandwagon. So we're making this instance the most important thing in the entire country. We're going to cancel games. We're going to protest. We're going to light shit on fire. Get the fuck out of here. Again, nothing happened with that other situation with that white kid that got shot.
Right.
I mean, where was this stuff? Like, the problem is, if we're going to do this for every fucking event, it's over. It's over, because that's not going to stop. I don't care how much money you invest, even in law enforcement, how good the training is. If you have 100,000 interactions a year, you're going to have some shit go down.
Yep.
You're going to have some shit go down. And if, let's say, the guy steals a gun, the suspect turns and, the cops fire and shoot, people are going to be rioting before even the facts come out. Guess why? Because it takes fucking time. Anytime there's a law enforcement thing, it's not that they don't want to release the truth. It's that they got to get the fucking footage. They got to make sure that they got to go through the internal. Things take time. Things aren't instant.
The biggest thing I can say, like, if I had to punch somebody in the face with truth on the way up an elevator and never see them again, I would just be like, stop acting like this shit started, 100 or 200 years ago. Like, humans have been doing this shit since our existence. Like, kingdoms rise and fall on the back of injustice, on the back of death and murder, on the back. Like, it's just, this has always been a part of our nature. You cannot look at any history book that doesn't have this, any culture, you just can't. So like, to isolate it to one moment, one culture, what like, and I understand, it's like, it's just like, you know, if you were in school and you saw the one, you know, short kid getting picked on, of course, stand up for that kid, because you wouldn't say, well, all of us would matter if we got bullied. It's like, oh, okay, we get that, but we're standing up for little Billy because he just got jacked in his goddamn mouth, you know? Like, there's some logic behind, hey, let's take a little bit of time to focus on, not let's destroy our whole country, let's destroy the economy, no, hey, let's actually, in a sophisticated and a helpful way, let's actually make this change, because we have the highest level of technology we've ever had, the most information we've ever had, the most talented creators we've ever had, the largest access to media and resources and ability to do the shit. So if we don't get this done, the only reason it will be is because we made the choice not to, not because we didn't have the opportunity to do it. Like, so it's just like, and that's I personally believe, in my opinion, that this is just very similar to how we understand data and all that kind of stuff, you know, as we see it in the back end of marketing and software and blah, 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 whatever. It's like, it's just going to be an exponential, like, we're just going to kind of go like this as a culture. And it's just going to, I don't see a world where this gets better. There's no utopia. This doesn't go to a place where it's like, oh, we've got it all figured out. It goes to a place where we can put it in its rightful, you know, areas or whatever, and we can manage it and we can coexist and we can whatever, you know, and that's why I try not to get into any, super biased, like, oh, this is my, you know, be a good person, Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, it's all confirmation bias. You can find, if you're looking for something that bad that happened for your news, if you're looking for something that some white person did to wrong a black person or vice versa, you're going to find it. You're going to find it as long as humans are around humans, which is why you also see a lot of black on black, white on white. I mean, you got these fucking white guys like Bernie Madoff, like just stealing millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, they're just bad people. They're just bad people out there of all races. There's bad eight. There's bad eight. What's that?
Storytelling is a craft. If you and I wanted to do it right now, we could literally do a challenge. Hey, Swolenormous, go write 1,000-word article that proves that black injustice is actually true. You could go find the facts, whatever. Simultaneously, I'm going to go write 1,000-word article of why that's not true. Both of our articles will have accurate facts of accurate events that happen, that statistically back up what we're saying, whatever. Do you not remember learning this stuff as we grew up in school? You can do it in mathematics. You can do it in, in science. You can do it in history. Like, you can draw your thesis, your hypothesis. You can actually present your information in a way that backs up your bias or your preconceived notions of what you think a thing is or isn't. It's like, just because we have information, we put it together in fractional puzzle. Check 1, 2.
Yo.
Yes. Okay.
Cool. All right. So that's actually pretty awesome. So every time so what I do, I just mark it. Yeah, it's like 122 to 1. Yeah. All right. So, okay. All right, you can go. Whatever you were saying, just continue that.
Yep. Okay, let me think for a second and pick back up, because I wanted to close it and toss it back to you. Damn, can you remind me like one thing I was saying? Because I was at a peak.
I don't even know, man. You were rolling.
Yeah, fuck.
I can't rewind it.
I was talking about, like, if you and I were to each write the opposite article and support it with facts and all of that kind of stuff. It's like because we're both intelligent, we're both well researched, we're both unbiased, we both know how to pull stats and facts and, the derivative of a thing or whatever. Like this is a craft. Storytelling is a craft. Positioning media is a craft. This is what we learned in school. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do, prove a math theory, prove a scientific theory, prove whatever. It's like, this is how we literally advance as an intelligent culture, is literally the research and development of a thing, the piecing together of information, the advancement of stuff. It's like, so of course, like media is a craft, storytelling is a craft. You don't think there's any type of agenda behind these things? Like, you are very naive. You've fooled yourself to not think that, like, I mean, you said it earlier, to think a human can say anything without it coming through the lens of their own life experience. We don't have any. These are our two eyes. My eyes have only seen what my eyes have seen. My ears have only heard what my ears have heard. So like, literally, the more you and I spend time with each other, we learn about what we care about. We spend time creating content together. You've watched me build businesses. You watched me fail. I've watched you launch stuff. I've watched you, dissipate and change directions, whatever. We've been successful together. We've had shitty moments together. So the more we learn each other, we learn our strengths and weaknesses and how to have camaraderie with that. Even the PROCAST itself, it's taken a while to get to this point, not because we weren't ready to do it 6, 8, 9, 12 months ago, because it took us a while to develop and push that. And now we're ready to present information in the way we want to. But two other people, a fitness genius guru who's also highly skilled in media marketing and all things online, and a half black dude who's had experience in entrepreneurship and business, whatever, could create another PROCAST version, whatever, and theirs is going to be completely different. Even if they're just as smart as us, with the same amount of intelligence and very similar history, it's like, because they're just freaking different people, so it's just like,
that's my big commoditized thing. The only thing that's you're not commoditized, I'm not commoditized. So rather than just blending in, you got to stand out. But now when people don't really have any identity of their own, what do? They pick up a flag, they pick a team, and they just yell as loud as they possibly can. So They either go right, they go left, they go extreme, they use this hashtag, and they rather than actually focus on themselves, they just latch on to some external identity and just go for the ride. So this is moving, and it's obviously growing, all these movements, but at the same time, I feel like it's going to keep growing and growing. And when it peaks or when it stops or when it crashes, I don't know what happens, but there's already a mental health crisis, but imagine when some of these things fizzle out and people don't know who the fuck they are and they realize they have nothing and they haven't created anything.
It's going to be sad, bro. It's going to be a sad day for a lot of people.
Dude, everyone that's in the streets just because they have nothing better to fucking do, they're rioting because they have nothing to do. Bro, like, they are just completely wasting their lives, wasting time, wasting opportunity. And it's on every corner, but you have to look for it. You have to want to do better. You have to want, again, working on yourself. You work on yourself, you're able to focus, meditate. People don't do that shit, bro.
Yeah. You're either destructing or infrastructuring. Yeah. Period. You can't do both at the same time. Like, in my opinion, like, when it comes to this level of stuff that affects us, it's like you're either a part of the thing that's causing division and destruction and, not, uneducated actions, or you are building infrastructure around you that, results in opportunity, results in stability, results in, the beneficial things for yourself and your indirect, connection. So I just, people will figure it out, because you can yell at your teacher or your substitute teacher all you want in, ninth grade for giving you the F or like whatever. It's like, but where's she now? Is she waking you up every morning? She knocking on your door saying, "Hey, how you doing on your grades?" It's the same thing here. It's like what all the people who yelled at Obama and then yelled at Bush. It's like, you on Bush's line right now talking about how many more presidents do you need till you realize you're in control of your goddamn life?
Bro, hammer. Want to take some, want to switch gears and head into some Swole fam questions?
Yeah, Swole fam, right. Let's go.
So for those of you that are watching now, if you want access to the bonus content, the bonus PROCAST, the private Q&A, learn more, click the link in the description down below to join the Swole fam, Swolenormousx.com. You get access to Swole TV, which has all the bonus content from the PROCAST private Q&A. I send out Swole text to Swole fam members, before we do the PROCAST, and everyone sends in their questions, and we go through and we cover a lot of extra awesome content just like this, marketing, business, and they're usually a lot more business oriented. We go down, we shift into different gears here. So we'll wrap this up. If you want to learn more, click down below. All of KD's links and stuff are down there, and all the good shit. So
we ride around this ghost. If we show up, then we still have it. Yeah, we slide around this coast. Yeah, we glowing up, but we still trapped in high up on the stone. When my foes out, got the world clapping. Yeah, we vibing up in this show. So your main girl in the private section. Yeah, we ride around this ghost. If we show up, then we still have it. Yeah, we slide around this coast. Yeah, we glowing up, but we still trapped in high up on the stone. When my foes out, got the world clapping. Yeah, we vibing up in this show. So your main girl in the private section. Yeah.